Hi, and welcome to the Fabulous Cancer Podcast. Today I'll be talking to Joanna, and we're going to talk about her cancer journey and discover your power. So, welcome, Joanna, to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Would you like to introduce yourself, who you are, and where you're from?
Sure, I'd love to. My name is Joana Breckner. I live in Southern California, and I am a three-time head and neck cancer survivor.
Oh, wow, thank you. And how did you find out you had cancer?
This is kind of a crazy story. 19 years ago, in 2001, I was going to my dentist for a routine checkup, having my teeth cleaned. And as part of the appointment, they do an oral cancer check. Although I had no idea that he was doing this. His name is Dr. Sachs. I love you, Dr. Sachs. He's been my dentist for 10 years. I mean, since I was 10 years old. So they do this oral cancer check. They kind of poke and prod and feel your neck and move your tongue around. Very nothing painful, non-invasive, takes only about a minute or two. And he found some unusual white spots in my mouth. And he showed me, and even when he showed me, I still could not see it. Nothing felt funny, nothing was painful, nothing tasted unusual. And he said, you need to have a biopsy. So I did, and it came back benign. Um, And from that moment on, I really didn't give it much thought. I thought, oh, it's a small blip on the radar. Like if we have something on our skin, like a dermatologist finds, we remove it. No big deal, hopefully. But from that moment on, I had an ENT, which is an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and I would get checked periodically. Um, I did have those white spots surgically removed, and we kept an eye on it. And then what I thought was no big deal turned into something 6 years later, and then 4.5 years after that, and then another year after that.
Oh, wow.
Do you want me to? Yeah. Do you want me to go more into detail about when cancer? I was finally diagnosed.
Yeah, if you would like to. If you'd like to.
Sure. Um, So my first message is make sure that at every dental checkup, your dentist or a qualified hygienist is checking you for oral cancer.
Mm.
I was not a candidate because I don't have the risk factors. The risk factors are usually older males, heavy smokers, heavy drinkers, um, family history, or the HPV virus, and I didn't have any of those. I social drink maybe a drink every few weeks, but that's it.
Mm.
So I did not fit the typical stereotype of someone who has this type of cancer. Um, so my message to everyone is to make sure you are being checked. And if your dentist says you don't fit into the category, we're not worried. Insist on being checked anyways. It could save your life. And most oral not most, let me take that back. Early detection is the key when it comes to oral cancer and being treated and preserving quality of life or saving your life.
Mm.
So after I was diagnosed with precancer, which is what it was 19 years ago, my precancer became cancer 6 years later. I don't know, I was going about life, I was busy with young kids, and something felt unusual in my mouth. I immediately went to my ENT, and he said, you have a tumor and it needs to be removed. Um, I spent one night in the hospital, simple surgery, no follow-up treatment, didn't seem like a big deal. And after that, I had scans every year to make sure nothing else was growing or changing. And remission for oral cancer is 5 years.
Mm.
And 4.5 years later, I was at the movies and eating popcorn, and a piece of popcorn got lodged in my mouth. It was very painful, and I went right to my ENT. And he said, your cancer has returned, your cancer has returned on your tongue, and it is very aggressive, and we're going to have to be aggressive to take care of business. And that diagnosis, I was treated at UCLA. Thankfully, the best doctors on the planet. They removed half of my tongue, and they had to rebuild it with muscles, tissues, and arteries from my forearm. And that was followed up by 3 months of simultaneous chemotherapy and radiation. And then a year after that diagnosis, I found a lump on my neck, and I went to my doctor, and we had a biopsy, and I was diagnosed a third time. I was back in the operating room, and they removed a tumor from my jugular vein. And this was followed up by another 3 months of chemotherapy and radiation. And I'm happy to report 7 years since that third diagnosis. It's been 7 years since any sign of disease, and I am considered cured by my doctors. So yay!
Nice. Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Congratulations on that. But
Thank you.
yeah, that must be terrifying to keep finding out that you're sick and stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yes. Yeah. Very scary. Once you think it's over, then it comes back, and then it comes back, and every time you have an uncomfortable feeling, or maybe it's hard to swallow, or your voice feels a little hoarse, you get worried, you panic, but before you know it, you kind of get used to all the unusual feelings. They don't feel so unusual over time.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, wow. So you started Discover Your Power. Could you tell me more about what it entails?
Sure. I started a business. It's called DYP, which stands for Discovering Your Power Your Way. And I was inspired to do this by the journey I went through with my cancer. And it actually all began when I was in a cancer support group. And there was a woman in my group who had breast cancer. And she had surgery, multiple surgeries. She went through chemo, she went through radiation. She lost her hair, it was growing back. And all she wanted to do was die. Like, it was heartbreaking. Oh. And it really was sad and frustrating because I couldn't understand why someone went through everything she went through. I mean, I had went through everything. We had both been through so much, and she didn't want to live. I don't know what happened to her. Unfortunately, I don't know her mental health before she was diagnosed, and I don't know of her whereabouts now. But I swore that if I got through what I was going through, that I would have to find a way to help people, because it broke my heart that she didn't feel like she had some kind of hope to hold on to cling to, that there was something better after this diagnosis. And that was really the impetus. And fast forward to a handful of years later, I was asked to give a speech about celebrating life. And from that speech, I was asked to give another speech and another speech. I never planned on being a motivational speaker. I mean, let's be real, with the speech impediment, I'm not exactly the ideal candidate, but it happened. Kind of crazy. I don't know what they were thinking. I guess they thought I had something important to share. But I was asked to give multiple speeches after that. And I remember thinking, like, wow, I really better understand now what is my message. And I kept a journal while I was ill. And I went back to my journal and paid attention to what I wrote about. And I realized the words on the page were not about my cancer or the diagnosis or the treatment, any of that. It was about the power I found to get through the nightmare that was going on in my life.
Mm.
And at that moment, I knew I had to talk about power. I wasn't sure what that meant, but the seed of DYP, Discovering Your Power, was planted. And that's really how it all began, was with that idea and multiple speeches and the feedback I received from people that they loved the idea that my message is about we all have power within us, even when we feel weak, even when we feel powerless, even when we're scared or confused or unsure. We can hopefully always find something in our home, in ourselves, in our environment, in our community that we can hold on to help move us forward or help us heal or overcome. Or maybe your outcome isn't so great, but it can help you find some peace and remind you that you still have a voice and you still have options, even when the outcome isn't what you were hoping for.
Thank you so much for sharing. And that's why I love seeing what you do, because it's like it's very sometimes it's very about motivational speakers when it's like, well, or about inspiration. It's like, okay, well, you can do it or achieve it when you feel a little better or something. And with your what you're doing is really like, even if you feel powerless, you can really achieve everything you want, or feel or hold on and continue. And that's really powerful, in my opinion. I also read, I have a quote on my page, which I read, which is, no one is you and that's your power. And I really like that one. And I really love what you do, because it's really, yeah, like it doesn't matter which situation you're in, you can always find some strength in some kind of way. So yeah, that's really incredible.
It reminds me when I used to go to treatment and I would walk into the infusion room to get my chemotherapy. But before I would even walk in the door, I had to put on my power suit. I lost my hair. I put on my favorite head covering. I put on my hoop earrings. I put on some lip gloss, even though I felt like absolute crap. I brought my fuzzy socks and my cozy blanket and all my good luck charms. And I sat in that chair for hours and I was ready for business. I was ready to accept my medicine. I have put my head in the game and geared up the best I could so that the medicine I was receiving could do the stuff it was supposed to do to make me heal. Now, I don't know if this is just hocus pocus, but in my head, wow, I felt like I was there and I was ready to show up. So if it means putting on your favorite cozy socks or maybe your lucky t-shirt or saying a prayer or having a mantra in your head or downloading your favorite music and listening to inspiring songs, you hopefully can find something, anything. And this doesn't mean you have to buy a membership or take a class or become an expert. If you want to, awesome, go for it. But I want you to be able to start small and maybe build from there and find something.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, that's amazing. Because that's also what I feel like, when I was sick, I was gaming a lot, to go through cancer and chemo, and that really helped me a lot. And also, of course, my family. But if they weren't there I mean, at some point, there's not much that they can do. So for me, it was really gaming, and then I also wore a cap all the time, which was my comfort zone. So that, yeah, it's very easy and very, even one simple thing, as you said, like a T-shirt or a song or something like that, it can be very easy and simple to give you back the power. So yeah, that's really, really amazing.
And I think thank you. And I think power is a very organic thing because what worked for you, Kaya, may not work for me.
Mm.
And what may work for me one time may not work another time. And I'll go back to it, maybe revisit it. I keep a big list of where I discover my personal power. Um, but this is so personal and there's no right and wrong. Um, but if you believe it and it's for the greater good, then go for it. Do it. I believe in you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Yes, that's really great. Because I also read you provide a free emergency kit on your Discover Your Power website. What does it entail?
Well, as part of creating GYP, it made me think about an emergency kit. I live in Southern California, and this last year we had tremendous wildfires.
Hmm.
I also live in earthquake country, and I have an emergency kit for natural disasters. It has medicine, it has flashlights. I don't know, but this pandemic, maybe I need to put some extra toilet paper in there and some hand sanitizer. Um, but I have an emergency kit, not because I hope I have to use it, but I have it there just in case. And this got me thinking, what if there was an emergency kit for handling the personal disasters and the personal challenges in your life? And you may not need it, but it is there just in case. And I don't know about you, Kaya, but when things in my life get kind of messy or scary, I can get emotional or overwhelmed and I can't always think straight. I don't know, is that common? Is that something maybe you feel ever?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
And I can't make a good decision. Sometimes I laser focus, but not always. So, what if I had a personal emergency kit that I could look at, I could refer to? So, in those moments when I am emotional or I'm overwhelmed or I can't think straight, I can look at it and it reminds me, oh, yeah, Joanna, when you wear that piece of jewelry that your daughter gave you, it makes you feel close and connected and you feel stronger. Or, oh, yeah, Joanna, you forgot when you listen to that podcast or listen to that song, it helps you rise up.
Hmm.
So I created something called the DYP Emergency Kit. It is on my website. It's a free download. It is simple. It is self-guided. And it will, in 3 easy steps, it walks you through how to create your own personal emergency kit that you can refer to anytime you need it. And it is for anybody going through any challenge. Doesn't just have to be cancer. It can be an illness, it can be divorce, it can be financial problems, or maybe it's daily life, which sometimes gets the best of me more than the big problems. And either I'm sitting in traffic or rushing around, or I have to have a conversation I don't want to have. And this helps me find the power within myself. It helps me discover my power, my way, not anybody else's way, my way, to find a way to manage it. I think of DYP as I share a way of managing the challenges of life. And your DYP emergency kit is a coping tool to help you figure out what that is. And it can be in your back pocket or your purse or your glove compartment or wherever.
That's really good. Oh my God. I think I need one.
Oh, I would love to see it.
Yes, I'm gonna try that. That's incredible. Oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing.
Well, when you make one, I hope you share it with me. I would love to see what is in your emergency kit, Kaya. That would be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be amazing. I'm already excited for it because these times are like going up and down with emotions, and it's I even with emotions like I never really experienced, like I'm really sometimes upset and stuff, and I'm like, why do I feel like this? So it's nice
Yeah.
to have this. It's very important. Thank you so much. And is it only is Discover Your Power only available in the USA?
No, anybody. If you have a challenge, if you have a problem, and I haven't met a person yet who hasn't, the emergency kit is for you. But I'm going to make something very clear, Kaya, is that I'm not promising with your personal emergency kit that your problems are going to like magically disappear, or you won't be overwhelmed. I mean, this is life. This is normal. Um, but my hope is with an emergency kit, your personal emergency kit, that um, you will just be better prepared, be proactive, and hopefully more resilient with how you move forward in life.
Yeah.
Um, and I also want to share that I am not um, a social worker or a mental health professional. I'm not a doctor. I created this because I know what I went through, and the power I discovered um, was instrumental in helping me get through it.
Yeah, that's really important. And that's really amazing because I feel like what you do is like gives even though the message is so powerful, it gives such a broad helpful insight of like, oh yeah, wait, I maybe I need to think about the kit, the emergency kit that I want to do, or think about the item in order to calm myself or to feel some kind of happiness. And that's really yeah, that's really amazing. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. It's a true labor of love, and this is the big part of DYP is about discovering your power, about building your emergency kit. But I also write a blog every other week, which is about exploring different ways of discovering power. These are personal stories, and as my business grows, I will maybe share other people's stories. Um, I just wrote a blog about the power of acceptance
Mm.
and how accepting my diagnosis from day one was really important in helping me manage my cancer journey. Um, and I find now that we're in quarantine with this pandemic, how the power of acceptance of what is happening in the world, it's not solving the world problem, but it's helping me manage my uncertainty and my fears that I have with this really unknown X factor out there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, wow. But thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. So happy to share all this. Really, I'm so honored because you have such a story. And when we talk to people who have walked the walk and talked the talk, I feel like there's this hidden relationship that you and I have, even though we're just speaking for the first time.
Absolutely, 100%. And I also have this like with other people I've interviewed, but like with you as well, it's like I feel like you've been in my life for like super long already or something. It's
Yes. No, I feel the same way. Like we could probably finish a few of our own, each other's sentences if given the time.
yeah, definitely. Like there's this really incredible like organic connection always
Yeah,
with like either people are dealing with cancer or have dealt with cancer. It's like you get each other on like another level. So it's yeah, I 100% agree. I know what you're talking about. It's really amazing.
yeah, yeah.
So where can people reach out to you and join Discover Your Power?
Well, to become a member of the GYP community, they can go to my website, which is www.gypyourway.com. I am also on social media. You can check me out on DYP Your Way or look me up. My name is Joana Breckner, Joana, one N, Breckner, Breckner. And that's how they can find me and download your free emergency kit and read the blog or look at my products. And I think the driving factor of DYP is, well, right now I'm growing, so a lot of these things are my stories, but I really want to hear other people's stories and how they DYP, because I think that sharing of information, that sharing of stories, um, is really what lifts us up, reminds us we're not alone, we're not the only ones going through this, and maybe it will get you excited about trying something. I don't know. But community, the CYP community, is really what this is all about.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Awesome. I will also put all your information in the description below, and your website, dipyourway.com. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your story, and all the work you do. It's really incredible, and I really appreciate you want to talk to me about it and like sharing everything. It's really nice.
Thank you. And, one last thought is I want to remind people that we all have the power to discover our power, and no one is powerless. No one. Um, so I can't wait to hear your stories. Kaya, I can't wait to hear how you DYP and hear what's in your emergency kit.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super
Awesome.
excited. Awesome. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next podcast episode. Bye bye.